Good morning, good afternoon or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the Sydney Railroad build. Seems like it's been a while since I've been down here making intro clips, so I don't remember exactly what I did last time. But for this week's installment, I'm going to take care of some miscellaneous wiring tasks and install all these switch machines for the two remaining staging yards. So let's head out to the workshop and get it done. Well, I haven't made any recordings in a couple of days, but I have got the yard lead in for the mezzanine staging, winding its way into the distance and around the front of the helix. It ends just where it hits the aisle. It took a surprising length of time to get that through there, even though I knew more or less how it was going. Haven't wired it up yet, but I have got all the plywood safety fences in. To do that, I had to go right back to the bridge on the upper grade. They were all missing, all the way around the end and on both levels through both the workbench junctions, upper and lower. And I got as far as this corner, and that's when I ran out of plywood. So that I've stopped there, and that needs to wait until I next go to Lowe's and buy another sheet or two. I've got loads to get on with. The DCC cabinet has been permanently positioned. You can see there's a couple of temporary braces on the back, holding it exactly the right place so it doesn't get bumped out of alignment. The next task is to put all the control systems on the shelves and work out how I'm going to get the wiring from there to the layout. It's going to have to go through the upper level benchwork over the workbench. But I can't build that until the stairs have been built in this basement because I don't know what the clearance is. So I'm just going to build a temporary bridge over here, much in the same way as I built the archway way down in the distance at the far end of the room over the rolling section. There'll be some temporary plywood across there, and then I'll get the wiring looms into the right places and mount some of the occupancy detector boards. There's not going to be a huge amount of visible progress for the next few days, so I probably won't make a whole load of video clips, but I'm going to get busy, get to work, and I will check in with you again at some point in the future. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Well, here is the control cabinet with holes drilled for wires. I put 4 7/8 holes along the back there and 3 larger holes for power cords with plugs on them to come through onto the bottom shelf. Originally this power supply was going to go on the bottom shelf with the others, but because of the ammeter, and that needs to really be where it can be seen more easily, I moved it to the upper shelf. So then I had to drill a larger hole down the back to get a plug through. I can't really hook much up today because I'm missing a whole load of hardware. I went in lunchtime and ordered the missing components from Digitrax, and I've made a list of all the screws and terminals that I need when next time I go to Lowe's. I've built a rough frame around over the workbench to hold the wiring. As I said earlier, that is just temporary until I can build the benchwork in there. But I can't get the benchwork in until the stairs have been built in the client's basement because there's some critical dimensions in this area that I can't measure yet. Anyway, that's not much to look at, but it'll do its job. I didn't even bother cutting the wood to length. I just used whole 8-foot strips, which can later be cut down and reused in benchwork when I no longer need this piece. Anyway, I can start running wiring looms as soon as I worked out which pairs I need and where they've got to start. I think I might have to wait until I've got the hardware necessary to attach the PM74s. I don't have the right size screws. Yes, shocking, I know. I've got a gazillion screws in my workshop and nothing the right size. Well, it has been a while since I've made any video clips out in the workshop. Doesn't mean I haven't been busy. I've been working on the bridge that you can see in the distance over there. I've done a lot of hidden wiring. I've built some hinge down panels to support all the various circuit boards so they can be out of the way normally and then hinge down for ease of maintenance. I've got most of the DCC cabinet set up. I've got a temporary bridge to get wires around the top deck to where they have to disappear into the bowels of the lower deck benchwork. My task for this afternoon is to install switch machines in the main staging level. I spent a couple of hours this morning vacuuming off all the debris because it was getting quite dirty down there. Mainly I had to do that where the turnouts are so that I didn't have debris stuck in the switch points and prevent them operating properly. But while I was at it, I did the whole thing. I have a big pile of switch machines already prepped. If I've counted correctly, there is enough to do both of the remaining staging yards. So I'm going to get on with those, see how many I can get installed this afternoon. So stay tuned and I will be right back. Well, in about an hour and 20 minutes, I have installed 16 switch machines. I started at the far end of workbench junction and worked my way around, and I got as far as here. I haven't done the front ladders yet, but everything on the back ladder and this end of the front ladder is done and tested. I've still got one more wire to cut off. I don't cut them off until I've tested them and confirmed them to be working. So that is my next step. And this is the tool that I use for cutting them off. End cutting pliers. It's the only way to do it really, because regular side cutters don't have long enough handles to get that grip. Now let me cut that off, and then I will have to move around to the other side of the bench work and do everything else from the inside. So stay tuned and I will be right back. Well, that is the remainder of the main yard ladder at this end done. Another 9 turnouts, so 25 altogether. 25 switch machines installed and tested. Some of these were a lot more difficult to reach, although only one of them turned out to be a real illegitimate. And that was this one right here. It took me 2 attempts to get it right, but eventually it's working. Next I am going to move down to the midpoint and do the ladders for the mezzanine staging. There's 10 turnouts up there. Let me see how long that takes and I'll be right back. Well, I have now finished the 10 in the mezzanine staging area. So that is a total of 35 switch machines installed and tested in about 3 hours and 10 minutes. Those that were difficult to reach down in that main staging ladder did slow me down a bit, but these went quickly. I'm going to now move down to the other end of the main staging yard and start on this ladder. I won't get it finished today because there's another 24 turnouts in this area and one missing on the lower level. So another 25 turnouts, and that's going to take me a lot more time than I have left today. But I can get a few installed. So let me turn the camera off, get back to work, and I'll talk to you again later. Well, I have installed 9 more switch machines in this ladder, including the 2 that are very difficult to reach, the 2 illegitimate ones. So that is a total of 44 this afternoon in slightly under 4 hours, so 11 an hour. I think that's pretty good going. I'm going to go in now. I may come out and have another session after dinner, or I might not. But I've still got the far side of this main ladder to do. All those are easy to reach on the creeper from underneath, from the outside, so they shouldn't be at all difficult. But I'm going to go inside, get Zeus fed, and I will check in with you again whenever I come back out. Stay tuned. Well, although there is nothing really to see, I have finished all the switch machines on all the staging yards, installed and tested, and I've also done the upper junction. I think I once called it upper workbench junction. It's probably better named mezzanine junction. And I thought I was finished, and then I realized there's still two more to do over here at the start of the reversing loop. I got one in, and unfortunately I can't do the other one at the moment, because if you look closely, you can see that Pico have changed the specifications of their turnouts. Instead of having a hole in the outer ends of the throw bar, there is now a peg, and the throw bar is too narrow to be able to reliably drill a hole myself. Fortunately, I've been able to find an older one that I've salvaged from the test track. Here we have one of the older turnouts, and it has a hole in the end of the throw bar. So I'm going to have to switch them out. I've got to lift this one, hopefully without breaking it, and install the other one. And then I've got to get the soldering iron out and redo the feeders. So let me get on with that, and I will be right back. Well, I've now switched out that turnout. Here's the one I took out. Perfect condition still. It's a little bit annoying because half an hour ago I was 5 minutes away from finishing this task, and I am still 5 minutes away from finishing it. I'm not going to continue and put the last switch machine in today because I don't want the sideways force to distort the track, maybe push the turnout out of alignment. So I'm going to let that glue set up, and I'm going to come back out and put the last switch machine in a few hours' time. I've got plenty more I can get on with today. It's just annoying that I can't finish the job that I'm so close to being finished. Anyway, stay tuned and I'll be right back. Well, that is all for this week's video, and in fact it's also all of that kind of switch machine that I'm going to be installing, because I have now switched over to a different kind for the visible portions of the railroad. I found a very nice switch machine produced by the same company that's doing the quad LN circuit boards. It's also servo based, but it comes already assembled and has a nice smooth linear action. So I'm going to be using those from now on. Anyway, after that aside, that is the end of this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it, found it useful or interesting, or both, and hope to see you back next week. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and bye for now.